Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to day 11 of our V.E.D.A challenge series, V.E.D.A Vlog Everyday April. And today I thought I'd do something where I would pick out a few games that are currently in my gaming collection, and I want to talk about the sentimental value of these games and what they mean to me personally. And I'm going to start with the NES. The first game I want to talk about is, now someone pointed out in the Name That Game video, I said it incorrectly. I don't think I did, but in case I did, it's Bionic Commando. Let everything breathe. The reason that I say Bionic Commando is because when I was growing up, we didn't have an NES. Actually, the first systems that we owned as a family was a Mattel Intellivision. Actually, we had the Model 2, which is the white one. And then we kind of upgraded to the Atari 2600. Now, I was born in '82, so the time I was playing video games, I think I was around 4 or 5 years old. So the Nintendo was already out for quite a while. Now, the way I played NES for the very first time was through my uncle. Well, with one of my uncles. I have quite a large family that lives locally here, so whenever we get together, we have to make dinners and all that. Anyways, that's beside the point. One aunt and uncle had a ColecoVision and the Intellivision Mark I, so we would trade games back and forth. But my other uncle actually owned an NES, and he had several games. He had, of course, he has Super Mario.com, which is included with every console. He had a tension game called Clax, a pretty interesting puzzle game, which I have yet to find to add to my collection. And then he had this little game, Bionic Commando, which at the time was one of the hardest games I have ever played in my life. But man, I must have stuck through this thing like crazy trying to beat this thing. And he tried so hard to beat it himself because this game was a challenge to him as well. After a while, the family, we eventually did get an NES, and we're going to talk about another couple of games here in a second because that's the fondest memories I have of that collection. But when we eventually did get that, I borrowed this from him so many times. He eventually just said, you know what, you like the game, you play it way more than I do, just take it. And I kind of wish I didn't sell off the original copy I had. I really wish I hung on to that, but then again, back in the day, I was bouncing between jobs. I had a huge collection, and money was rough, so I ended up selling my whole collection for like, I think $300 on eBay. And luckily, I sold it to someone locally, so I didn't have to worry about shipping costs or a lot of eBay fees, and he just paid me in cash right there. So that's my memories of that one. I'm gonna move on to Mario Brothers Duck Hunt. I mean, who doesn't have great memories of this? This is the most common NES game that you can find. I mean, you walk down the street and trip over a cartridge. The funny thing is, this was another game that my uncle had, and I played to death. I never beat the game until my mother bought us our own NES. I can remember vividly. We went to the department store. She told us to wait in the car. And I could see through the bag the NES action set. And myself, my sister, my brother are in the car just jumping up and like hoping, and my girlfriend's giggling, trying not to giggle in the background. But yeah, we were ecstatic. And I was the first one to play it. I skipped through all the warps. I went right to Bowser and then ended up beating it. And I was like, okay, I'm done. What's next? Next important sentimental game to me is the third in the series, Super Mario Bros. 3. And I can tell you a really great story about the first night I beat this game. We had worked through, we did some of the warp whistles, but we managed to, build ourselves up a couple of extra lives, like quite a few. I think we had about 57 or so by the time we reached Bowser's Castle. And at the time, I was doing a local youth group at my church. We'd get together, all the other kids in the neighborhood, and we would go to this thing for about an hour. And I didn't want to shut off the NES, so I gave the controller to my dad, and I was like, keep the game going, or if you want to play, play. And I think when we left, we had 57. So we went for an hour to this youth group, and then we came back. We had about 12 lives left. And we're like, Dad, what happened? He's like, I died. A lot. So I think I ended up beating it with like 5 5 men left, and I went up trying to really. I'm running up now. It's like I finally beat it. I finally beat it. And then that whole you see Toadstool and she says, "Sorry, your princess is in another castle." I nearly cried. I'm like, I didn't beat it. What the fuck? Oh my god! My mom's trying. She's like, no, you beat it. You beat it. Look, the credits are rolling. I'm like, no, it's taking your princess is in another castle. Fuck this. And I said, fuck this, because at 12 years old, I got my ass kicked. But yeah, that was a great memory for that. The last one, now I've got tons of memories. I just wanted to keep it to like 3 or 4 games. Last one is WrestleMania Challenge on the NES. There's actually, my mother took several photos of me playing the NES. My brother too. And the one game that she always saw us playing was this. I went through this so many times with the yourself character, because that's the only way you can get any type of belt. You have to go through like a single elimination tournament to get the WWF Championship, and you got to go through the entire roster. The first couple of guys are easy, and then like the third or fourth guy, it's like an arcade fighting game where like the first 2 guys are easy, and the third guy will just completely butt fuck you, and then you got to pump in more quarters. And then after like the 10th quarter you pump in, he's like, okay, we'll let up on the difficulty. I want to talk about now the Game Boy and 3 games that really mean a lot to me. First one being Super RC Pro-Am, the sequel to RC Pro-Am on the NES. This one meant a lot to me because this was the very first video game I ever bought. I never bought brand new. I bought this from a friend of mine through other means. He had it brand new in the box, and he didn't really want it, so he was just selling it off. And I remember working chores, getting in my allowance saved up, and buying this off of him. The second game is Super Mario Land 2, the 6 Golden Suns. Golden Coins, Golden Suns. I'm thinking of Golden Suns in the Game Boy Advance. This one was special to me because it is the first Mario game I ever owned system. I never owned Mario Land because when I got my Game Boy, I got Tetris with it. I never got Mario Land. So, yeah, I'm more familiar with Mario Land 2 than I am Mario Land 1, even though I can skim through Mario Land now without any problems. That one too, I mean, that one's like super easy. Final game I never actually owned myself. I borrowed this a lot from my friend, and since I found this at a local pawn shop, I had to have it, and that's Batman on Game Boy. Everyone praises the NES game, and rightfully so. That's a great game. But this one should also be praised for itself, because this is a fantastic Batman game. I mean, Batman does have a gun. It's like, oh, Batman doesn't kill, Batman doesn't have guns. It's still a fun game. And in this one, you get to fly the Batwing. You get to fly the Batwing. And then the later levels get, like, ridiculously hard. So, if you guys get a chance, get this game. You will not be disappointed. Final 2 games on these 2 for the Super Nintendo. Now, these aren't going to be everyone's like favorite games. They're not going to be the best games of all time. The reason I picked out these 2 games because they were one of my father's favorites. My dad didn't play a whole lot of video games. But when he did, it was special. We had a lot of fun. One of the games that he personally would rent a lot is Top Gear 2. He was a big race car fan. I mean, he was like, NASCAR was his thing. That was the shit to him. And he would get this one because of the fact that when you win races, you get money. You can upgrade your engines, your tires, and it was really strategic because there were some levels where it would rain or snow, and you had to buy new tires. And if you didn't buy the tires, you would skid out, and you wouldn't have that much control. And then whenever the next race would happen, you would have to switch back because, again, you wouldn't have that much control. It's a fantastic game. The first one is really bad. The third one, which is Top Gear 3000, harder to find. I haven't played a whole lot about that, but in my opinion, this one was the best of the series. So if you guys can find Top Gear 2, pick it up. It's a fun racing game. The final game, This was another one that my uncle owned and just basically gave it to us because we loved it so much. And that is Super Conflict. This is a uh, it's hard how to describe it. This is a strategy game. Based solely around the Gulf, or not solely around it, heavily around the Gulf War. I mean, look at the guy. He's like, he's in desert camo and all the enemies around there. The reason that this one was so special is because, like I said, this is he didn't play games that much when he did. When he found a game that he loved, he would really, really, really get into it and play it a lot. He would play these levels like there's different rules that you can play. You can put it in where you can only move 3 units, or you can move all units, or only move a certain whatever how many ever units you want, and then stop there and end your turn. There was like point values you could get, and you can build new units. The goal of the game was just move your units, eliminate the other team. But if you took out their flag tank or flag ship, then you would win the game. God, he went through every single map. This is a long game. If you play through a single-player campaign, this is a long-ass game. But it's a lot of fun. It really makes you think and plan out your attacks. But it's not one of the best games on the Super Nintendo. But like I said, all these games that I brought up here, these are the ones that give me the most joy because it gives me the best memories. Which is, back when you're young, you had your brother and your sister and your mom and dad, and you're, playing games, or they're telling you to get off the Nintendo and all that. I have a funnier story to tell. I'll tell this story, and this will be it for the day. Um, as a kid, and even today, even though I'm 30 years old, I love Christmas. Christmas was my favorite holiday of the year. I'm always the one that nowadays I'm always the one calling up the brother and sister and mom and saying, "What are we doing for Christmas? Whose house are we going to? Are we doing potluck? Are we doing a turkey? We're gonna have company food, which we've dubbed that company food being like candies on a dish, or cold cuts, because mom used to do that around Christmas time, just put up cold cuts and candy, and it's just like, "Oh, who's coming over?" It's like, "No one. This is just for us to eat." I was like, "Oh, you should put this stuff out when company comes around." So we just dubbed it company food. Anyway, when I was younger, really, really younger, Christmas, like, I was so excited, I did not sleep. Like, I was so excited uh, for just waking up early in the morning. It was really early when we woke up, because most times my mom had to work, or dad had to work early in the morning. They didn't get Christmas off, so we would get up super early to open our presents, and I couldn't sleep at all. There's one night where I'd rushed into the living room. I didn't take a peek. I didn't take a peek at what was out there, because Mom always come up with this story where, to keep us in bed, it said Santa has magic powers. If you wake up early before the rest of the family, or before your dad has to go to the bathroom, take a shit, if you look at the presents that Santa left you, poof, they'll disappear. I think that was just her way of saying, if you wake up early, I'm taking all the presents back. I'll tell you, there's no Santa Claus, and I'll just take all your presents back. Ooh, sorry, kids. There's no Santa. If you're watching my videos, if you're young, you shouldn't be watching my videos anyway. I swear a lot. Anyway, what I did was I snuck into the living room. I unhooked the Super Nintendo, and I had Kirby Superstar at the time, best Kirby game in the world. And I dug it. I dug it out. I took the RF switch. It was the only way, because we had older TVs back then. So everything out. I brought it into the bedroom where my brother and I had a black and white TV to. I think at the time we had the antenna hooked up so we could watch South Park late at night. Mom didn't know. She didn't want us watching that for some reason. I think it's hilarious. So I hook up my Nintendo, or my Super Nintendo, and I started playing Kirby. And I'm going along, and I think I'm doing like the last mission, the one where you can't copy anything. You have to find the abilities, and then you can switch them whenever you want. So I'm playing that, and I'm keeping it really low so I don't wake up my brother, but I end up waking him up anyway. He wakes up, like, he's like, "What?" And I look at him, and I'm just like, "Oh, you want in on this? I'll plug in the second controller." He's like, "Go to bed." I'm like, "I can't, it's Christmas." Girlfriend's giggling off it. She just really can't try not to laugh.
You're not the only one. I was like that too.
Yeah, I think we're all like that. Christmas, kids love it. Anyways, this has gone long enough. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you tomorrow for day 12 of the V.E.D.A challenge, V.E.D.A vlog every day April. Thanks for listening to my ramblings about my gaming past, and we'll see you tomorrow.